Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter for boxing related tweets. You can subscribe to this channel, get notifications whenever a new video is uploaded, and I look forward to hearing all your comments and seeing you guys debate with me and each other about all things boxing. Let's talk about Deontay Wilder. I've just uploaded a video about Tyson Fury. It's called can't remember what I titled it. It's part 2. It's about God and demonic possession. That's how the video starts. Part 2 of that, and then Tyson Fury's mentality, how that's affected by it. It's an analysis of how his religious beliefs, the mystical element of those religious beliefs, really affect his drive. I think it's quite an interesting video. I thought the first one was an interesting video. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I'm uploading this tomorrow probably, so I don't oversaturate the channel with different videos and then none of them get watched. So this particular one is about Deontay Wilder. And where does he go from here? It's been really, some of the things I read, honestly, like I said, long-time subscribers know I've been a huge fan of Fury's for years. When I was telling people Fury is going to dethrone Vladimir Klitschko, most people... This was way before he even got to world level. He was still European or domestic level, and I could see he had the tools. Most people think I was crazy. In the build-up to the Fury fight, a lot of people still thought I was crazy. When it happened, there were some people who are open-minded, free thinkers, people on this channel, subscribers who might have disagreed beforehand, have just said, yeah, fair play, that was really good analysis. You know, you've been saying it for a long time. But then there have been a lot of other people, not people on this channel, but people I've known in everyday life, people on Twitter, that would say things like, Klitschko just had a bad night. Okay. So then comes the return against Deontay Wilder. And they'll say, well, Wilder underestimated him. And Fury was practically knocked out. He got up, yeah, fine, but he was knocked out. Fury does it for the second fight, and now you still see people saying things like, yeah, he's won over a lot more people. Yeah, he's a quality fighter, but Wilder's limited. The competition today is nothing like yesteryear, right? All this time when I was saying, listen, Fury's going to do this, do that, people were saying to me, no way, he's a bum. He'd never beat Deontay Wilder with that power. He'd never beat AJ. Deontay Wilder was going to give him one thump with that right hand. He's going to be unconscious on the floor for 3 days. And yet, when it happens, all of a sudden, instead of giving Fury his props, Wilder's a bum, the worst technical heavyweight champion ever, a one-trick pony. Come on, man. You can't keep this up. Every time. So what happens when Fury beats AJ? He was a fraud. No, if Fury beats AJ. Listen, I think that fight's a lot harder than the Wilder fight. I make no bones about that. I've always felt that. That's a really good fight. I believe Fury's going to win the fight, but it's a good fight. I wouldn't be stunned if AJ was to do it. I think they're two top fighters. Both of them are generational talents. I've always believed that. Deontay Wilder, I don't think has the all-round game, but in terms of his sheer power, he could on any given night beat any fighter ever. It takes one shot, and he's not just power. We're going to discuss that now. But the point is, they talk like, all of a sudden Fury's fighting in a generation of bums. Come on, what is this about? You can be wrong about something. Hold your hands up and say, you know what? I underestimated the guy. I didn't realize he was that good. Why is there this thing of, rather than people then saying, oh, wow, I didn't realize Fury could do that, which you have had some pundits do. David Hayes been very much like that. Instead, what you're having a lot of is, well, yeah, only because Wilder was overrated. Come on. So what is Deontay Wilder? Deontay Wilder is very athletic. Very athletic. He's got a very good jab. He's very, very good at timing that right hand. He's very good at it. He's very good at disguising that right hand. He's very good at, when you're in that incorrect line and you've stepped into that danger zone, he's very good at punishing you with that right hand. He's got a very good chin. He's got the heart of a warrior. We saw the pounding that guy took, and he was sitting there hanging around. Listen, they've come out and said it was a cut in the ear rather than in the eardrum. Rubbish. You could see this part of his ear here swollen, this part of his jaw where the jaw connects to the ear swollen, and there was blood coming profusely out of the ear. Now, why would they lie about that? Well, when Malik Scott, who's actually in Wilder's camp, sparred Tyson Fury, he got a broken eardrum. Malik Scott has never been the same since. Malik Scott at one point was quite a good talent coming up. After that, there have been a lot of question marks about his durability, because the eardrum has to do with balance. So even if it heals, if you've got an issue with your eardrum and balance, well, the last thing you need is to be getting hit on the chin or on the side of the head by the temple, by the ear. You're going to be getting vertigo while you're in the ring. It's a serious problem. So that's something to look out for in the future when Deontay Wilder fights. If you're looking at betting, whoever he's fighting, you have to consider the possibility of the opponent knocking him out, because that you don't know how that ear is going to be affected. They might be hiding it. He may have broken his eardrum. It gives them a motive to hide it. They don't want to affect their brand. They don't want people thinking he's affected his eardrum. This is an injury that persists with fighters. They don't want that. So this is a very serious potential thing. And he's still hanging around in there. He's getting battered. And did he quit? No. Did he refuse to get up at any point? An easy way out? Get up on the count of 10 so the ref can wave it away and he can complain? No. His corner threw in the towel. That's a warrior right there. People talk about, X is a quitter and this guy's a bum. Don't be stupid, man. These are some of the hardest as in the best fighters, the toughest dudes in the world. They're some of the toughest dudes in the world. There's a reason they're earning their millions. If you think that average dude in the street who knows how to fight a little bit, who's a tough guy in the local bar or whatever, is a tough guy, no one's paying him that money to get in the ring. There's a reason for that. These are the cream of the crop. And people are talking like Wilder's just a nobody. He's not a nobody. That's a bad man. But he's up against a generational talent. These things happen. Boxing's the only sport where you can be the second best in the world and people remember you for all your defeats. I was discussing this with a friend of mine earlier. He's a Liverpool fan. And you'll remember that Liverpool famous comeback in the Champions League final against AC Milan. They were 3-0 down. They came back to level 3-3 and won it on penalties. A couple of years later, they played AC Milan again. This time in Athens, and they lost. I think they lost 2-0. So the same teams played in the final of the European Championships. The second time, they lost quite comfortably. I think it was 2-0. Anyway, nobody really talks about that. Nobody remembers that. Instead, so I mean, obviously, I'm in the UK, so I'm talking from a British perspective. In the UK, no one really talks about that defeat. Nobody holds it against Liverpool. Yeah, they played a better team, they lost. Instead, what they do is put their victories on a pedestal. In boxing, all you do is hear about great fighters' defeats all the time. More people talk about Foreman losing to Ali than they do talking about him destroying Frazier or beating Michael Moore at the age he beat him. More people talk about Marquez knocking out Pacquiao or Mayweather beating Pacquiao rather than all of Pacquiao's great achievements. It's nuts. Deontay Wilder's the real deal. But where does he go from here? When I say he's the real deal, he's got work to do. We've spoken about his limitations in the preview video to the fight. We know the limitations he has. And at this stage, at 34 years old, there's a lot of talk about him changing trainer. You can learn a few things. Maybe a quality trainer could improve him by 10%. Now, 10% in a fight is a lot. It's a lot, 10%. It's the difference between winning and losing when one punch can change a fight. But I saw somebody else say, imagine he had the Mayweathers as a trainer and he started to bring in the shoulder roll and things like that. Guys, I don't think you realize how hard it is to implement that sort of stuff. You've got your hands down. You're talking about a Philly shell, right? You've got your hands down. You're hiding behind your shoulder. You've got one hand to protect one side of your face, to catch shots that are coming, to catch them, literally parry them, and you're deflecting shots with your shoulder. If I roll with my shoulder, if I catch a shot and I stand quite upright, and I'm not leaning back off of the rope, standing tall, leaning way back to be able to deflect the shot off my shoulder, you're going to smash me up. And I'm turning my back because you can't punch in the back. I'm making myself into an invisible target, essentially. If I make even the slightest error, you're knocking me out. Or you're going to catch me with a left hook because it's going to be available to you. Okay? It's this idea that somehow you can just go with a trainer and become someone else. It's ludicrous. Otherwise, the best trainers in the world would produce the best fighters in the world. They wouldn't even have to come over from other gyms. They'd just take them when they were kids, sign contracts with them to say, from now on, I want 30% of anything you earn. If you're a young fighter you're a nobody and you can be turned into a world champion, you're going to sign that contract. Why not? Become a millionaire. They're not sitting there creating chocolate bars where it's one after the other and it's the same. It doesn't work like that. Most of it is nature, not nurture. But that 10-15% that a trainer can offer is massive. So don't get me wrong, I'm not undermining the role of a trainer. It's huge. But this idea that you're suddenly going to turn Deontay Wilder into Floyd Mayweather, no. What you're going to be able to do potentially, maybe he needs to learn a few things, is potentially try to learn how to punch off the back foot. How you can create the space to still detonate that right hand from a position of retreat, or maybe rather than always having to shoot it from the nipple where your hand's cocked, where you're telegraphing that you're going to throw it before you've thrown it, maybe they can teach him how to shift weight from one foot to the other and dip forward like Bellew throws a left hook, for instance. Maybe you could do that with your right hand, so you can shoot it from a higher position and you can hide it, you can disguise it. Okay, maybe they can work on things like narrowing his feet more. There are different things you can work on. Maybe they can work on things like deflecting shots in a different way. Working on, he pulls his right hand back when he throws a left hook. Maybe they can work on that. There are things they can improve him on. But it's still going to be the Deontay Wilder you recognize. He's 34 years old. He's no spring chicken. Some guys are just, they don't learn. They don't absorb new ideas as quickly. Doesn't mean they can't be top fighters. You have a lot of top fighters who are specialists, so to speak, at one thing. They are one-trick ponies, but they're really good at that one thing. It's like an actor. You might always play a villain. Yeah, all right, you always play a villain. You're never going to be employed to be in a rom-com, a leading man in a rom-com, but you are a really good actor. You're a really good villain when you're playing it. There's nothing wrong with that. So you have to understand what you're in there against. So firstly, he needs to decide what he's going to do with his future. Is he staying with this training team? Is he going to try and pick up on something new? Secondly, he should not take this immediate rematch. If he takes this rematch and loses with Fury, he's done. His career's over. Whereas imagine Fury goes on to fight AJ and Wilder goes on to fight, it doesn't even have to be a big name. It could be an American fighter with a big mouth, create a false rivalry, look devastating against him, gain your confidence back after, by the way, you take a long layoff. He's going to need to recover from those injuries. Then after that tune-up fight, go in there against a good fighter who you believe you can win. Maybe somebody who eats a lot of shots. Maybe a guy like Derek Chisora might be a good fight to get. Because Derek Chisora is a dangerous guy. He's really improving as a fighter. He looks really good under the tutelage, really, of David Haye. He's fitter now. He looks good. He's looked good against Dillian White. But he is hittable. And one thing you don't want to be against Deontay Wilder is hittable. Maybe go and look devastating against someone like that. Then, whoever wins between Wilder and between Fury and AJ, you're calling out. Then you have the narrative of, I've learned a lot. I'm a new guy. If it is Tyson Fury, I'm a new guy. I know how to deal with that now. We've worked on sparring with big guys. We've brought in guys like Jarrell Miller. We've brought in big guys who are coming forward, bringing the heat. I've learned how to punch off the back foot. There are new tricks that I've got. Fury's in trouble now, baby. That's the narrative. But if you fight him now before you've learned anything, he's beaten you twice. Once when he came back after a 3-year layoff, and then he decimated you. You're going to get beaten again, and then that's it. You've got a puncher's chance, but then that's it. Where'd you go from there? Who's going to take you seriously when you then say, I want this guy and I want that guy? In fact, if he's not going to take a shot against Fury immediately, and he doesn't want a tune-up fight, and he just wants to cash out, because that is possible, then rather than Fury, the best thing to do is go for AJ. Try and convince them to give you AJ. Take 20%. Take 15%. You're still going to make an awful lot of money. Because again, AJ is not Fury. They're different. AJ will come and bring that sort of foot pressure that Fury brought, for sure. He carries a lot of power in both hands. He's a bigger puncher than Tyson Fury. From a technical perspective, that right hand is better than Fury's. His jab's not as good. It's a really good jab. It's thudding. Actually, yes, I'm not going to say his jab's not as good. It's not as rangy. So maybe you'll have success if you're punching with AJ. But the fact is, AJ is more hittable. And AJ blocks shots. He doesn't evade them. And we know Wilder's power carries through the guard. Imagine Wilder decides, I'm going to come back after a quick tune-up fight. I'll recover, have a tune-up fight. Then after AJ fights Pulev, I'm going to swoop in and offer a fight against Anthony Joshua. Hopefully, he might be thinking to himself, Fury and AJ can't agree a purse, because Frank Warren was talking about 70-30 split. They seem to be talking 50-50 now. If they can't agree, then maybe I can get involved. I'll be thinking to myself, undercut my own value a little bit to fight AJ. And then imagine he knocks AJ out. He's back in the game. He's catapulted himself. So there are 3 different trajectories he could take. The only one I would say do not do is fight Fury now. Again. Let me know what you think. Should he change trainer? If he does, can he really change as a fighter? Which of the 2 fights would you take? Or the 3 paths would you take with regards to fighting next? Try and get AJ from under the nose of Fury after you've had recovery rate. Try and have a tune-up fight before a B-level fighter and then the winner of AJ Fury next year. Or would you go straight back in with Fury? Let me know what you think, guys. Thanks for watching. Chat to you soon.